it is important to do what is right in the eyes of God, even in the most difficult situations. So we heard how Paul and Silas were preaching the gospel, and opposition arose to them. So they were arrested and beaten up by the authorities, and then thrown into a prison cell with shackles around their feet. But suddenly an earthquake occurs during the night, probably miraculously, and they're freed from their shackles, and the doors of the cells are wide open. This is their opportunity to escape. But they realize that that would be the wrong thing to do at this time. If they escape, they would then be considered fugitives. And Paul also realizes that the guard himself would be held accountable for their escape and would most likely be punished with death. So instead of doing what is expedient, which would be to have escaped, take advantage of the opportunity and leave, they do what is right before God. They remain in their prison cell. And when the guard is ready to kill himself, thinking that his prisoners have escaped, they reassure him that they are still there. Then notice how he responds. He takes Paul and Silas to his home, where their wounds are tended to, and then in turn, Paul and Silas teach him and his family about Christ, and they are all baptized. So by choosing to fulfill God's will instead of their own will, Paul and Silas bring salvation to this man and his family. Had they followed their own, perhaps, will by desiring to escape and get out of there, this man and his family would not have received the word of God. So sometimes we have to recognize that, God allows us to get into some situations which may be very uncomfortable and even frightening for us. So we could respond by strategizing and trying to figure out ways of getting out of this mess that we're in, or we can discern what God's will might be for us in that situation. If we use the circumstances of life for the purpose of discerning God's will, we find then that even the most terrible situations can be useful in living the faith and teaching others about the faith. Think about a person who has a job, that's really terrible. The employer may be mean-spirited, the morale of the employees is very low. There may be other issues which make that person's job almost unbearable. So the person can do one of two things. The person can think about just getting out of there and quitting, or the person can remain there in order to make things better. That person is thinking not only of himself being in a bad job, but is also thinking about the others who work there who might benefit in some way from his presence and good example. So this kind of thinking, requires sacrifice and commitment to a higher good. It's probably not very common in today's day and age to find people like that. But we can all be like Paul and Silas in our willingness to give of ourselves to others, even in the worst moments. By following their example, we are following the example of Jesus, who of course gave of his entire self for our sake.